Good evening, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the 28th of July, 2013. We wanted to record this a little later in the day to give folks in Hawaii a chance to make sure they got to view it. They are several hours west of the Eastern time zone, so several hours behind folks along the East Coast who have, I guess, the most interest in tropical activity, and along the Gulf Coast, of course. So that's why the update is a little later today, and I will talk about Flossie in just a minute. First, Dorian making somewhat of a comeback as of late. So the Hurricane Center has upgraded this area back to orange, indicating a 30% chance of formation back into a tropical cyclone. If it were to do so, it would still be Dorian because it's still the same identifiable feature. They note here in their message that a Hurricane Hunter aircraft did fly out and investigate the system, and they note that there is not a defined center of circulation at the surface, but rather a sharp surface trough. Basically, as we look at a satellite picture of this system right here, you'll see it's rather impressive looking, but it lacks a well-defined low-level circulation. And we'll zoom in just a little bit here. You can see some pretty good areas of thunderstorms, these overshooting tops coming up. Got an S shape to the overall system, pretty good upper level outflow, but conditions are only favorable really in this area here as it moves on off to the west and west-northwest with time somewhere in this cone that I have drawn. It's going to still encounter some rather marginal conditions, so even though it tried to make a little bit of a comeback today, it's not the best looking system. Here's another satellite shot of it. You can really see, kind of neat here, these overshooting thunderstorm tops. This is a NASA satellite shot that comes in very high resolution, but these are just clusters of thunderstorms. There's no real evidence of banding, a little bit of curvature to the clouds here, but this is more of a sharp trough of low pressure in the lower parts of the atmosphere. In fact, if we look at the vorticity field from the University of Wisconsin, this too showing pretty good signature, nice roundness to it, but that's down at the 5,000 foot level. It hasn't reached all the way to the surface yet. Still, it has some decent energy with it. Forecast models overall taking it in the general vicinity of the Bahamas, and then maybe South Florida or Cuba, possibly into the southeast Gulf of Mexico as we get into the work week. So this will be something to keep an eye on. We'll see what happens over the next several days. Now let's go and take a look at Flossie out in the Pacific. This is a satellite picture from the Navy's NRL site. Flossie starting to lose some of its organization as it moves over cooler water. There is some wind shear starting to impact it here as the clouds are being pushed off more in one direction rather than fanning out in all directions. And that's expected. It is expected to continue to weaken. Still, pretty good convection right around the center of circulation, probably located somewhere in there. And it's going to be heading closer to Hawaii over the next day or so. Here it is now at 11 o'clock Hawaiian Standard Time. And it's getting closer, but still no appreciable effects on the island. We'll take a look at a radar picture for that area in just a minute. The forecast position by 8 o'clock Hawaiian time tomorrow morning, knocking on the door of the Big Island. It's moving west at about 20 miles per hour, so it's going to move in and out rather quickly, bringing tropical storm conditions to probably all of the islands through here. I think I have another satellite picture of this system in here, maybe. Yes, this is good. This gives you an idea of the scale of Flossie. Let's zoom in here. As compared to everything else, sorry about that. There it is, pretty large overall circulation, but the main convective activity limited to a pretty small area. So you folks out here in Hawaii, which is right there, this will move on through, bringing some tropical storm conditions, gusty winds, bursts of heavy rain, and then it'll pass on through. This is a really neat analysis of the wind field of Flossie. I found this on the internet from one of the many sites. I can't remember where I got this off the top of my head, but it's very recent here from today's 2 p.m. Eastern Time or 18 UTC update. And this is just the analysis of the wind field in a very small area where the strongest winds are located. Everything else is 20 knots or less, and it's mainly to the north of the center here. I'll get rid of some of that telestration. Really, it's just the top semicircle, the northern semicircle of the tropical storm that has the highest winds. So depending on where it passes through the Hawaiian Islands will determine who gets the most of these higher winds. I would say that folks on the north side of this circulation, depending on where it tracks, would be potentially impacted the most. Let's look at a radar picture real quick of Hawaii. Go to the National Weather Service site, pull up the radar, and down here at the bottom is a nice shot of the Hawaiian Islands. And right now there's nothing in the area. If we click on Hawaii itself, the big island, we can loop this, and so far no rain bands coming in. But by tomorrow morning we should see these rain bands circulating counterclockwise like this. Oops, it went back. Come on, load for me. There we go. By tomorrow morning we should see these rain bands circulating in here counterclockwise. So, you know, just depending on where the track is, the center, I would say that it looks like Maui on over towards Oahu would have the highest potential of tropical storm force winds, unless the center passes south of the Big Island, in which case everybody in here could get in on the action. Really, though, you can tell even by just the shape and the shading here of this geographic feature of the islands, any of these higher elevations could wring out some of that moisture pretty efficiently, and therefore the threat of heavy rain is a possibility. So be ready for that if you're out there. Don't take this lightly. It'll be a conversation topic, a disruption in tomorrow's weather, but don't take it lightly as if it's just nothing. Believe me, very heavy rain is heading your way, and the increase in wind and surf can be a hazard. So just have respect for it and use common sense, and you will do fine. And it'll pass on, and the string of pearls can return to being the paradise that everybody refers to it as. All right? Everything else in the tropics, nice and quiet today. We'll keep an eye on the remnants of Dorian. Just not thinking it's going to do much. We'll see. You never write it off completely. It's on again, off again, on again, off again kind of situation. But we'll watch it, and I'll have more about it tomorrow. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth. HurricaneTrack.com is my website. Check it out sometime if you haven't already. And always a privilege, too, to do these videos for you on Hurricane Pro and HD. Hopefully you learn something from them. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.